Good people, I did you wrong on my last video. Please believe that it was unintentional and I want to make it right. For those of you who are just now joining us, in my last video I gave you just a brief look around at my garage, my shop that I'm trying to get, I don't know, a little bit more squared away, and I pointed out that I had found a car, a buried car in my garage. In fact, I even titled the video that. Well, please understand that was not intended to be deceptive. I can see in hindsight that it absolutely was. That was not my intent whatsoever. So I was just kind of, I had been laughing about the fact all afternoon that I had dug so much crud out of my garage that I actually had, it was buried. I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit that, but this car had been buried, and I thought that was pretty funny. So without further ado, let me show you what's underneath the tarp. This is my 76 Camaro. Please hold all your questions and comments to the end of the video. This is my 76 Camaro that I bought, I believe I bought it 3 days after I graduated from high school, and have had it with me in one fashion or another for, well, about 20 years now. I didn't really intend to make it a, any sort of a feature of a video or really part of the storyline, because I didn't really figure that it had a whole lot to do with what I'm doing here, with what I'm promoting on the channel, that being, doing things for yourself and being as self-sufficient as possible, being as capable as possible. And the more that I thought about it after the outcry of, hey, show us what's underneath the tarp, the more that it occurred to me that this right here, this is a very large example of being self-sufficient and doing things for yourself. Not to pat myself on the back, because I'm amateur at best, but when I bought this car, it had low miles on it, I think it had 52,000 original miles on it, but it had sat underneath a pine tree uncovered for about 5 years. And so there was a lot of stuff that needed done to it. I've rebuilt the engine several times. I've done everything to it. I did the body work to it. It had some rusted out panels. I'd never done it before, but my mindset was to well, just give it a try. It's already broken, right? So I did the body panels on it. I did the paint on it. It turns out that it's a real good 10-15 footer. It's not concourse perfect, but it was my first time ever doing car paint, so I feel pretty happy about this. This car is very near and dear to me. I had it, I had it through a large portion of my youth. I've done a lot of stupid things associated with this car, but I've also done a lot of smart things. This car, for example, was the getaway car for my wife and I when we got married. The paint, I think the paint was still a little bit uncured because I had painted it, I think, 2 days before, just in time for the wedding. But that's what this is. That's what this car is that sits in the back of my garage. Somebody asked the question about why, what car is so important that it needs to be underneath a tarp in your garage. And that's what it is. It's not, it's not keeping it pristine, but there are a couple of things about it that warrant keeping a cover over it, even in my garage, because I'm always doing something, whether it be grinding or spray painting or, cutting wood, sawdust and whatnot. And this paint job, I put a lot of work into the paint job, and I'm trying to keep as much crud off of the paint and keep it in as good a condition as I can. The tarp that you see is not even a tarp. It's not even really a very good cover. It's just an old parachute. So yeah, so there you go. That's what she is. She now has 100,000, just over 100,000 original miles, and the only thing that she needs is a water pump, which I know is about 25 bucks at the local auto parts store, because I priced them. just has been fairly low on my list of priorities. But well, now that you guys know that this is part of my family, maybe maybe sometime this summer, maybe sometime she'll make it out of the garage and we'll get downtown or something. Who knows? Oh yeah, and so undoubtedly somebody has said 76. Yeah, 76 my foot. Yeah, it's a 76. I promise you it's a 76. Let me show you. Surely if you're a professional Camaro spotter, you'll know that that's at least 74 or later. Let's come up here to the window, shall we? That also is, I think the curved glass started in 74 as well. So this is a 76, as proven by those couple of features. And so now you're asking me, well, I hope you're asking me, because I'm going to tell you. You're asking me why it's got the awesome front end of something that's not a 76 with a great big fat ugly bumper on it. Well, many moons ago, I made the acquaintance of a fella who had a 72 parts car. It was just all rusted out and junk. I had some car parts that he wanted, and he had the front of that car that I always wondered, could you just unbolt and bolt on? And I'm here to tell you that you can. For the most part, just unbolt and bolt on. The fenders are the same. Everything from the radiator support forward is different, but it will all just bolt right up. So this gentleman took a cutting torch and went about halfway back of the wheel well and cut off the front of that car. He gave it to me. I gave him $20 and a fiberglass lower valance for my car. And well, this is the result. So the purists out there won't like this, that I've turned my car into a mutt of sorts. The front end of it's a 72 and the back end of it is a 76. But I really don't care what the purists say, because it's not their car, right? It's my car. Oh yeah, you know what? Now that I'm sitting here looking at this, I'm sure somebody's going to want to look under here. Be warned, it's not fancy, but somebody's going to want to see anyway. Oh man, that's pretty bad light. Here, let me see if I can fix the light. There we go. Pretty bare bones. It's a 350. It's not a stock 350. Just trust me on that one. But it's a 350. Gutted out the fenders, which I gutted them out and threw them away when I was when I was a bit younger, and I don't know, in my later years I've kind of wondered if that was the best idea. But lightened it up a little bit, give me plenty of room to work on the engine, which I've done, like I said, a lot of times. And yeah, details wise, it's a 350. Bottom end is it's a stock 2-bolt block, but everything on the top end is upgraded. It's got 1967 202 160 camel hump heads. It's got a Performer intake, Performer 650 CFM carburetor. The pistons are 10-to-1 flat top pistons. The heads have got milled chambers. Started out as 64cc chambers. I would venture to guess they're milled down to something about 62cc or so. So with all that said, she doesn't run on anything less than premium. Like, won't run on anything less than premium. And when she is running, she runs quite well. I know that that was a pretty long, drawn-out answer to something that was a pretty straightforward question. But you know, I figured I'll let you guys into my head a little bit, let you guys into my life. This is part of what makes me tick. Yeah, I was, once upon a time, I was quite heavily into hot rods, and so this is kind of a leftover of that, and it's also kind of a touchstone, really, to a lot of my childhood. Well, childhood, you know, young adulthood. Had a lot of good times and a lot of bad times in this car as well. She's been from coast to coast, and for the most part carried me there uneventfully, mostly. So there you go. That's the end of the story. Not the end of the story, but that's all the story that I've got for you tonight. I apologize for having kind of I didn't mean to troll anybody. I didn't mean to set a trap and then not tell you the answer to it. This was not a ploy to get you to watch more videos. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you got more questions about it, I'd be happy to answer any questions if I can. And like I said, stay tuned, because eventually you'll probably see the old girl on the road. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. That way, you'll get the notification when we do get her on the road. And yeah, I'll see you real soon on the next video. Take care.